I like books. Like, I really like books. Like, I've got 5 bookshelves full of books, and I don't know what I'm gonna do when I move. But maybe you like books, or you think you like books, and you kind of want to get into books, but you don't know where to start. Well, I'm gonna have a couple of options for you to take a method to get into books. Hey, it's the holiday season, and a lot of places have sales on books, so it's a great time to actually get into books. So let's go into it. I've got 3 methods you can take to get into books. Number 1 is genre fiction. Genre fiction isn't, this crazy thing that it sounds like, but it's just when you walk into a bookshop and you just look, when you first look, most bookshops, you're going to have a wall and it's just going to say fiction. And that's pretty daunting because there's a lot of books with a lot of names. I find it daunting myself when I walk into a new bookshop and I'm like, that's a lot of books and I don't know kind of what books you have. So normally you walk a little bit down the aisle or down through the bookshop, and then you're going to start seeing, genres on the walls. You're going to see crime and thriller, you're going to see fantasy, you're going to see, I can't think of any others off the top of my head, sci-fi, that probably goes to fantasy. And then that helps narrow it down a lot. And especially if you're a person who, maybe hasn't been into reading for a while, or, you used to read a lot and then you're trying to get back into reading and it's just like, I don't know what to read. Genre fiction is generally has the type of books that have wider mass market appeal, and in doing so you can find a lot more articles or reviews of these books. Obviously, like general or literary fiction, as some people would call it, books do also have that, especially when you walk into a bookshop and there's a table and sort of a bunch of books on there. Those books are going to have a lot of reviews as well, so maybe those can help you out. But generally, genre fiction, crime, thriller, fantasy, sci-fi, you have a lot more people talking about them. You also have a lot more younger people talking about them, because I think genre fiction is a great gateway into getting into reading other books, like literary books, or even non-fiction books, which we can get into at some point. But actually, let's get into that now. Actually, let's flip the script. That's the same sort of thing, You can walk further down and you can just look at, okay, self-help, maybe I'm interested in that. Maybe I'm into sports. You're into sports, I'm into sports. This whole shelf is football books. You can go look there, okay, there's sports, it's the team you like, is it a manager you like, is it, you're interested in the finance of sports, it's there, and it makes it a lot easier, So sometimes there's just the non-fiction shelf, which is, again, sort of like books that kind of fit into multiple categories, and that, again, is one that is very off-putting sometimes. I find that off-putting too. So look for the genres, search for the genres you like, and it helps. And like I said, these books that are put into more specific genres are kind of easier to find reviews for, because you will have a more specific audience collating around that. If you're looking at fantasy, I don't know, let's say Aragon books, you're gonna have a general audience who just likes like fantasy stuff, and they're gonna read Aragon and they're gonna talk about it. But then you can go more deep niche with it. You can have people who like dragons specifically, and they're going to specifically go into a lot of detail about it in terms of dragons. Honestly, I only read Aragon because there were dragons. I love dragons. I have a little dragon over here. I also read Earthsea because someone told me there were dragons in it, I think. I can't remember now. Maybe they did. I love Earthsea. It's a fantastic book. You should go and read that, actually. Just go and read the Earthsea series, all 6 books. But yeah, look at the genres. See if any of them appeal to you. It does make it a little bit easier, and then from there you can kind of go into the more literary fiction stuff, which is that general wall that just says fiction. Those do kind of dip in and out of the other genres. Like, you'll find a literary fiction book which has fantasy elements in it, and then you can kind of decide from there, or ones that have thriller or crime aspects to them, but it's not really the main focus of the book. And it kind of will help you broaden your knowledge. Same thing with non-fiction stuff. You can find something that's more specifically football related, and then you're like, okay, I want to look at football finance, and then I want to look at like left-wing football, and then I just want to look at left-wing stuff in general, and it's like kind of step by step by step gets you there. Secondly, I think you should just read books based off properties that you like. You know, if you're someone who likes movies, see if you can find the book that the movie was based off. You'll be surprised by the number of movies that are based off of books. Sometimes they have different names. Let me give you an example of one that was really great. No Country for Old Men. Fantastic movie. Also a book. The book came before the movie. But sometimes you get the books that come out of the movie, but that's a whole other thing we'll get into later. Or perhaps, you know, you like Game of Thrones. Okay, editing me here. I've spent the last half an hour looking for a clip from a Sky advert where Idris Elba says Game of Thrones. I wanted that clip. I can't find it. I'm going crazy. How many goddamn Sky adverts did this man do? You really enjoyed the Game of Thrones series, minus that last season, maybe the last 2 seasons, and you're like, hey, let me read Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is one where it's actually quite a different experience. I'm currently reading the Game of Thrones books. I'm on the penultimate one. I'm going to try and finish them by the end of the year. The Game of Thrones books feel like a very different thing to the movies, like the shows. Sorry, it is as if, because in a show it is show don't tell, but in a book you have to tell. So you are getting the inner like machinations of the characters compared to actually seeing the characters doing things. It is far easier to show or see characters finding out information than it is through a show. You know, sometimes you will find out something that's happening in the land of Westeros through a character who isn't actually there. However, in a show, it's far more compelling to actually show you the thing that's happening. So it's a very different experience. But also, you do have books that are a little bit more similar to the movie, and maybe that's a little bit easier for you to get into. I think the Hunger Games books, I've only read the first 3, I've not read the ones afterwards, far more similar to the movies than most other books. It is actually pretty accurate. So it is a really great way to get you into the books. There are the books that go the other way around. So if you've played the God of War games, there is a novelization of it, and it does add like extra information, stuff that maybe wasn't as highlighted in the game, or maybe something that is a detail that maybe you can miss in the game. You know, you're just running, you're trying to finish the game, there was a detail you might have missed that could be useful for your next playthrough. It's really fun, it's really great, I really enjoy it. Sometimes I will watch a movie and like it so much that I go off and buy and read the book. Sometimes I love a book so much I go off and watch the movie and I'm very disappointed with the adaptation of the movie, but you know, swings and roundabouts. I think that's another great way for you to kind of get into movies. Hey, you know, it's Christmas time, maybe you could pick up a more Christmassy themed book and then you can watch the movie. Christmas Carol? And my final suggestion, genuinely, just ask the person that is working in the bookshop or library. You should go to the library, really. We'll get into that later. I know sometimes when you go to a bookshop, you kind of don't want to feel dumb. Like, you don't want to walk up to someone and say, I don't know what I want. Can you tell me what to read and what to buy? As someone who worked in a bookshop and whose, you know, aspiration is to have my own bookshop, that is the best thing people would ask me. You know, with as much or as little details people gave me, being able to be like, okay, what can I find that this person would really enjoy? And hey, sometimes as the person looking for the book, you're not going to find the perfect book, but you can find a book that's pretty good for them. Sometimes you find a book and the person absolutely loves it, and they come back and say, I love the book you recommended to me. Hey, can you recommend me another one? And that's amazing. You know, people who generally work in bookshops generally have a deep love for the books, and so they will know. Perhaps they won't be an expert in the kind of books you're looking for. For example, I don't read a lot of crime stuff. So if someone came in and asked me for crime books, maybe I wouldn't know the best. However, booksellers or library workers do have their, you know, tips and tricks to be able to find a book that might suit someone who maybe they don't know the most about that genre, or maybe that author, or that sort of thing the person's looking for, but it can be really helpful. I even do it myself when I'm looking for a book for someone who likes something that I'm not a fan of. Literally, the crime genre. I was looking for a book for someone who's into that, but isn't really someone who would want to read the most, like, you know, scariest or most thrillery type books. Maybe something a little bit more light-hearted, but not Richard Osman, because they don't want to read the Richard Osman books, and I understand why they don't want to read the Richard Osman books. And so, literally walking to the bookshop and was like, hi, could you help me? This is the kind of vibe I'm looking for. This is the kind of book we're thinking. What do you suggest? It was a bit of a back and forth. They were asking questions. I was giving them a little bit more, you know, hints, you know, kind of, they like this, they don't want this sort of stuff in the book. And they came back with a book that the person who I bought it for really enjoyed. And that's the beauty of it. That's what a bookseller wants to do, in my opinion. When I was a bookseller, it's what I wanted to do. I wanted people to come to me like, what book should I read? I'm like, this is the book you should be reading. So go off and do that. Don't feel afraid to do so. I know sometimes it's like, oh, they're gonna think I'm stupid. I don't know what book I want. I think I look dumb. They love it. Booksellers, librarians, they love it. Go and do that. So those are 3 ways that you can get into reading books. Hey, if you're someone who has recently gotten into reading and there's a specific way that you got into it, sound off in the comments down below. Let me know. As you're here, I want to say a special thank you to my members. Members get special access to bonus videos. They get to be part of a book club, a movie club. They get videos early. They get to help craft the videos. So if you are interested, you can join from as little as £1 a month by hitting that join button down below or on my channel. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share the video with a friend or family member, and comment down below all the stuff about finding books down below. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you read a great book today.